Welcome to episode 97 of SEO Talk Spaces, and we are glad to be back after weekend. And thank you for joining in, Deepak, Shreyas, and those who are listening. So today's topic is aligned to a lot of shifts happening in the content marketing space, and considering how the search landscape is also moving forward. Uh, it's the right timing where we take a step back and rethink of the content funnel, and it's very important to understand that is the content stages that we used to discuss earlier, the top of the funnel, tofu, mofu, and bofu, is it still relevant, or are we are we stuck to the traditional way of content marketing? What do we need to reinvent or rethink in order to make sure that we are relevant, the content that we are planning for brands, we're doing SEO, or we're launching any other marketing campaigns? How can we make sure that the content funnel is in place with the demand from users, from the target audience? Over to you, Malhar Bhai.
No, definitely. Thanks for that nice intro, and I'll reiterate some of the points in a way that I guess we have discussed in few of the earlier episodes also, where we have been saying that the search journey is no longer linear, and as you rightly mentioned, the tofu, bofu, mofu, etc. gone others days, probably because people are asking complex queries, conversational questions, and they are searching at multiple places, right? It could be on the search engines, it could be on the LLMs, all those stuff, right? So is it time to rewire the entire funnel? Is it time to shift from publishing content to rather thinking little back and say, okay, can I understand the intent and serve for the intent rather than just publish content? So we are going to talk about all this on today's topic, which is rethinking the content funnel in the age of AI search. And I'll get started on that note with a very big basic question, right? So we just spoke about the entire classic content funnel, and that is changing. So uh, question to everyone is more like, is your traditional tofu, mofu, bofu, etc. model uh, outdated, or we are reinventing and aligning our content accordingly and to the search intent as well? But
Yeah, the traditional model, the top, middle, and bottom of the funnel content is evolving for sure. And with the recent disruption due to AI, uh, the top of the funnel content is being served by instant answers, whether you say Google AI overviews, um, and so on and so forth. So that is directly skipping the traditional awareness content that was being produced just to achieve good amount of organic traffic through high search volume keywords in the top of the funnel layer. But I think so middle and bottom of the funnel content is where the engagement and conversions are happening right now, and it's very important for brands to rethink the whole content funnel, because now it's not linear, it's moving to be a cyclical kind of a flywheel. So yeah, brands need to rethink and reinvent their journey based on their target audience, and come up with content formats.
no, absolutely. Deepak, you have a point of view there?
I have a question. दो तरह की बातें आती है कि पिछले एपिसोड में शायद हम लोग डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि यू हैव टू राइट कंटेंट फॉर मशीन्स एज वेल, या फिर मैंने कहीं और पढ़ा था, मुझे याद नहीं है। तो बात ये है कि मशीन के लिए लिखे तब वो यूजर के पास पहुंचेगा, या फिर यूजर के लिए लिखे तब वो मशीन के थ्रू यूजर के पास, मशीन इन द सेंस एआई यूजर के पास पहुंचेगा।
आई थिंक सो। यूजर को ध्यान में रख के ही कंटेंट, टॉपिक्स वगैरह सब सोचना चाहिए, लिखना चाहिए। इट शुड बी यूजर सेंट्रिक। बट एक बार यूजर के जो पेन पॉइंट्स है, उसको कौन से फॉर्मेट में कंटेंट सर्व करना है, वो सारी चीजें एक बार डिसाइड हो गई, फिर यू कैन स्प्रिंकल अराउंड whatever you want to do with on page SEO। आपको यू वांट टू मेक श्योर कि आपको अभी इतना रिजिड नहीं रहा है कि भाई ये कीवर्ड्स ये वगैरह सब कुछ, इट इज गोइंग इन अ सिमेंटिक डायरेक्शन। सो आपको मेक श्योर करना है कि आप वो एंटिटीज कवर कर रहे हो। आपको मेक श्योर करना है कि नॉर्मली आपका जो टाइटल है और आपका H1 है, आपका URL है, वो बेसिक हाइजीन एसईओ फॉलो कर रहा है। दैट्स प्रीटी मच इट। सो मशीन के लिए काम अभी बाद में आएगा, प्रायोरिटी उसका कम है। कंपेयर टू यूजर सेंट्रिक ही मेजोरिटी होना चाहिए।
Completely agree. So Deepak, to answer your question in a little technical way, if I have to go, so see the way the systems have matured today, right? And like Partha also mentioned, the entire semantic relationship that they are able to establish because of the deep neural networks and machine learning which are there in place. Uh, it's easier for the machines to understand the content as well as the context, right? So when you are searching for Apple, do you mean Apple the food or Apple the brand, right? So they are able to understand the context right from the query, right from your search patterns, etc., and are able to give you an appropriate answer. So you may not really need to design it for the machines specifically, but definitely make it easy for machines to understand, right? So that's where, say, all the schemas, etc., we have been talking about, it helps to make it easy for the machines to understand your content, not necessarily that you align for the machine. So you write for the users, ensure the machine understands it properly, and you are good to go, because you really do not need to say optimize for machines now, right? Hope that answers your question. Isha, oh, good to see you. If you want to add anything.
Malhar, I'm sorry. Actually there was some connectivity issue. I just joined in, so if you can like give me a brief about the question.
Okay, no, so Deepak had a question in terms of should content be written for humans, or should it be written for machines first and then humans will understand?
Okay, so I think see, I'll go with what Parth said. We need to understand that we are writing content for customers. Now, right now, we are talking about machine because of AI, but previously also when we were talking, when we had algorithm, that was also machine. So machine's job is to identify the content, not that we have to write the content because of for the machine. The end is, so the so I mean, first of all, the most important question to ask is, why are we writing this content? Are we writing it for our customer base, or are we writing it for the sake of writing it because the whole industry is saying, okay, write the content? So that's point number one. Point number two is, machines were always there, so machine's job is to identify the content. Our job is to write the content. And like, of course, like, we have to ensure that we are writing the content for customer, but ensuring that our content is crawlable, indexable, easily readable for machines. So that's what I will say.
No, absolutely. That's what. So, and like I said, right, with the algorithms much more mature now, they can easily understand whatever you are writing, etc. There's a lot more semantic relevance or relationship that gets set up. So, should not really worry about it. Okay, moving to the next one, in terms of say, how do we align to the new search realities, right? And with the emphasis on EAT and all this stuff, uh, how can the content marketers, because what I'm trying to do here is align the content marketer and the SEO guy together and say, okay, how do they practically apply this framework of EAT in the work that they are doing, right? It could be, say, researching for the content or even writing the content. Parth?
Yeah. Um, I think so. Authenticity is one thing in the whole creator game that's going to stay there. I'll just put a generic thought out here. Whether you are producing content on a website or your YouTube channel or Instagram, your authentic way of telling a story, editing particular videos in a particular way, and maintaining that consistent theme of editing those videos and all of that. Now, being authentic, uh, showing real photos of your particular expert, um, making sure that the author bios that you add also has enough credentials. uh, if you are into health space, like your WebMD and Mayo Clinic profiles, all of that help. If you're into finance, I think so Investopedia profile and all of that helps, and so on and so forth. And at the same time, sharing first-hand insights, specifically on reviews and product pages. That is very, very important. And I'll just share an example here. Rather than just sharing knowledge, uh, how do we share experience? So, for example, if we write something like this, I personally tested this feature on XYZ product. That is going to uh, put out experience, like signal experience and not just knowledge. So writing content from first person's perspective, and making sure that all the credentials and everything is put across with authentic information.
Absolutely. Isha, Deepak, if you want to add something.
Uh, okay, so Malhar, I would see. I mean, I always say that now EEAT is very subjective in terms of industry to industry, and and I mean, it also depends on the level of scrutinizing we need to do for EEAT. If it is a very generic industry, as Parth said, maybe that example works. But if it is an industry where EAT is a norm, then of course, like having the fact check, having ensuring that the right credibility is being added is very important. That's one. Second is I always tell people also that whenever you are even thinking of a topic or writing a content, ask yourself: Will you read it twice? Will you read it thrice? Uh, is this a content which you would like to save it? Because people nowadays, if it's an essay based content or if it's a generic based content, nobody would like to obviously read through it. But if that content has a value, and the value always has been added based on your experience, your that one X factor of yours is very important. So that's point number two. And rest, of course, it depends on, I would say it depends on industry to industry. If it's a medicine based industry or med tech or even finance tech, then we have to be very, very mindful of what we are writing. Even picking up the topic has to be strategically thought through, having EEAT in the mind, because you can't just write for the sake of writing it.
A fair point, and this again because see many of you are have your own agency or are within the SEO space. Uh, See how much depth do you expect a content writer to bring it? Because the reason I always feel this is challenging as a subject and the entire EAT as a principle is little more challenging. Uh, you can have one of the best content writer in the world, but they still will not be able to get the depth of an SME. So how do you balance that? That okay, your SEO still needs a Google or anyone can say okay, I want in-depth content, but there is still a limitation. The person can only do enough, and God forbid now in the entire AI kind of universe, how much in depth of the prompt can you give to a tool to give you the right kind of content, outline, etc. Yeah, Deepak.
I think in EEAT, the most unique thing is experience, as Parth said and Isha said. Uh, but how do you, uh, you know, show that experience if you are a content writer writing behalf of some other person?
No, absolutely. So I'll give you an example, right? And most of us know Ankur Wariku as a influencer within the industry, and so he has written some books, and some time back the news came in that the book was actually written by someone else, and which was then given the name of Ankur has written the book. And this typically happens, right? So this is the industry norm where uh, say the content writer, someone who is a professional writer, can write in a certain way, but the expert can give a thought process based on which the content writer can do their magic, right? So that is where I believe things are happening or things way it should go, because you need to train your content writer as much as possible or give them enough meat to understand ki, what this particular subject means, right? And that's how they can probably write better. That is something that I do. But again, happy to hear anyone. Yeah, Isha. Sorry, go ahead, please. I was hijacking.
No. So that's completely fair. I think. I mean, you talked about Ankur Wariku. I remember even the beer biceps guy when he started being a creator. Initially, his content was something which he used to personally write, and then suddenly the whole content got uh, deteriorated, and people started questioning him: is he the one who's writing, or is this there's a ghost writer who's basically taking it up? So it's actually the story across. So I think that's the whole reason even the whole content industry dynamics has changed. That's the whole reason now. Uh, if we talk about anybody, I mean, now you don't need writers who are AI writers. Now you don't need editors just to edit the content. Now you need writers who knows, or who even know, who understands, or rather somebody who knows what type of questions they need to ask to the subject matter expert. So that's point number one. Point number two, and that's why right now if you see that there are industry based writers who are coming up, because every writer is now trying to pick up their own niche, because they also want to be the domain expert, and they want to play the role into it. And having said that, Malhar, if I have to ask your question, I mean, like the way I usually work, wherever my client gets on board, I ensure that this thing is very clear from day one, that they have to have subject matter experts. We are there just as a support angle. So even if we are writing the content, there has to be somebody from their team who has to add that value to it. Maybe like in that brief, we are asking you right questions, and you have to ensure that you are responding to those questions. And even when the content piece is coming up, they have to ensure that that's the case. And some folks I have seen, like especially the ones like industry based, I mean, be it healthcare, be it finance, I'm seeing that people are now open to have subject matter experts at their places. Be it tech also. Now people are ready. They say that, we are person's role is to add the value. Your person's role is to ensure that the language is there for the customer. So that's how you need to blend, and that's how you need to communicate to every client also, that right now the so and they need to understand the SEO, or rather the writer's role is not just that you have given the project to them, they were the ones who will be writing, they are the ones who will be doing every single thing. It's a I mean, as we always say, SEO cannot work in silos. It's a collaborative approach. So their role is equally important. There will be times where even SEOs might get exhausted in terms of ideas also. So they, as a subject matter expert, has to come up and tell us that, this is what we want to write about. This is what we know. Because I till date remember there's this kind of a fintech client we have, and that client says that, Isha, we know our industry more than you, so you don't worry about um, the space that and we are not even expecting you to write the content the way our people are. Because so they said that if my audience is similar industry, CXO, CF4 folks, I will not expect you people to write the content which they people will like. I know we have, my founder will be able to write that kind of piece of content. My the space of influencers will be able to read the content. I think the same thing which I usually tell my team members also, same industry wide thing, that we people, when we have come with an experience, we talk in a different language. And when a fresher comes up as an SEO person, and when they write a post, I mean, we are right now differentiating. Right now also, if you see, there are so many posts coming on LinkedIn. There are a lot of posts which we have started ignoring also, because people are just writing it for the sake of writing it. Every single person who has just 6 months of experience is talking like he's is the most intellectual person, thinking that okay, ChatGPT is answering their most of the things, but nobody is. But there are only 1% of the ones who are really talking about their experience. There are only 1% of those crowd who's sharing or adding value, and that can be differentiated easily.
No, absolutely. Brilliantly put. Brilliantly put. Now, I'll give my playbook is very simple in terms of the entire content process. The stage one actually starts from say talking with the sales and the tech guys and understanding what is the need, right? So from a sales point of view, right, who are they targeting for a certain quarter, and what kind of questions do they expect whenever they are targeting or going to talk to a certain demographic. uh, Based on that, again with the tech guys, understand, okay, what is the content that you need, and then we'll just prepare the titles, right? We don't even get it, like prepare the titles, walk them through the tech team and say, okay, this is what we are going to say target for this particular quarter or this particular month. And then if they are okay, we will decide, okay, what are the key titles that we want to focus on and what form of content, etc. The next step is we'll go into the outline and say, okay, for each of those titles, here is the outline. Walk the outline through the SME, right? And say, okay, for this title, this is the kind of content that will come in, and this is the basic outline of the content, right? You put in whatever is missing, etc. So at least we have a skeleton which is ready, which is agreed upon by everyone, and then the content writer will go ahead and write the content, right? Until the sign in on that entire outline is not coming, I don't get my content writer to write a single word, because otherwise I have seen in my experience that it's a total waste of effort. They would be putting a say couple of days to put the content together, 2 3 days, etc. Go back to the SME, and the SME will just diss you out and say, okay, boss, this is not something that we like. So I always like to spend little more time to plan, uh, put it in a certain form, and then go on the execution mode of writing the content, and then say your optimization extra. Do the basics first. So that has worked for me in all my years so far, and I guess so. That is my playbook. Not necessarily right or wrong, but that is the playbook I prefer to follow. All right, we dwelled a little more than expected on this, but again, this is a pretty interesting topic when it comes to content and tactics and all this stuff. So I'll go into the more on the tactical mode now, because all of us want to understand the practical bit, and the reason I wanted to get on that bit is we talked about, say, AI overviews, summaries, interactive snippets, and all those things, because AI based search is all about chunks of content being seen, chunk of content being, say, pulled by your LLMs, etc. So, in your experience and the way that you have been, say, relooking at the entire content strategy, what format or structures are proving to be more effective for you at this point of time, and what do you foresee, right? Say 2025, next 6 months, and 26. What do you think would work better? Because there's a lot of AI based search, still lot of stuff coming there. Part, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I want to add one contrarian opinion here. Even though top of the funnel content is not going to get much traffic, or obviously the funnel is not starting from top of the funnel because Google is not sending clicks. But having said that, top to achieve topical authority, like we'll need to publish those uh, top of the funnel content pieces, but we should not expect any ROI from it. Now, coming to what content formats will work, I think so. Explainer type of format, interactive tools. So, all in all, the product led SEO approach, and there's this demo led SEO approach by Storyline. There's this guy Madhav Bhandari who came on HF's podcast. It's a very interesting approach, where there are a lot of B2B SaaS companies. They generate lead for mm, book a demo and stuff like that. Like, why do you want to add one more step where people will find a time, book a demo, and the demo will happen next day? Like, you take this demo led SEO approach and integrate it into your um what do I say, first page view fold of this thing of your landing page. Like, just below the H1, just show the demo in a GIF format or a very short 30 to 45 seconds video. That's going to give them a glimpse of what your product is about, what they can expect, and is it required for them for a detailed demo. So all of these content formats, which is structured, kind of fact checked, and it shouldn't be behind the JavaScript, so easily crawlable by LLMs, and all of these stands a better chance to be cited by LLMs.
Good point. Yeah, ईशा, दीपक, आप लोगों को कुछ ऐड करना है?
Okay, so very difficult question, honestly, Mala, because I think this is a time where, I mean, because like this is what we are also doing. I mean, I think last almost 9 months, every project, every single month, we are reviewing what piece of content is working, what piece of content is not working, and every day is a surprise for us because it's very, you know so I think it's the content also nowadays has become like a, I would say, the way social media content works. You don't know which will get viral. all you need to do is just put the effort. So I mean, what Parth said, of course, makes sense. Even if you see that there are a lot of people who have done a lot of experiment on clickbait kind of content pieces where um, you create a long landing page, try to have as much as information, put people the service level, the service line pages are becoming like a clickbait pages at this point of time. So that is also working for some people, for some it isn't. So I'll again go with the same theory. Who is your customer? If your customers are people who are C level or a higher, they might have a different approach. If your customers are middle level people, they'll have a different approach. And coming back to even your topic, the moment I read the topic, my first point was, why are we even saying that uh, uh, the funnel doesn't work? Because see, the funnel is not for AI. The funnel is for customer. Are we trying to hint out that okay, the customer funnel is changing? Then it makes sense, because your and this is something which I strongly propose also, and I strongly believe also, SEO is always not just about revenue. Right now people are constantly building a theory that if a person in SEO industry doesn't claim you about revenue, he's not the right professional. But that's a wrong theory altogether. SEO is an awareness channel. Why are we forgetting that? Because it's a channel where people will search and come to you, not the other way around, that you're just opening it up and people will convert it. Because it's a very it is not a channel when people will just land to your search something, land to your page, and they will convert it. Because conversion is a journey. So I would say that the funnel still work, because till the time the funnel works for customer, the funnel works for any channel. Let's not complicate it just because of AI, because AI was long there in our algorithms also. It's the funnel is for customer, not for tools. Second is, having said that, again, I feel right now, the more than funnel for customer, the funnel is not working because there is too much of content in the web. Previously, if we talk about ages before, we didn't have that much of content. Now we need to understand what exactly is in, if for our industry there is something which is already present. So I would say the future is what, in the previous answer of Parth, where he said that your own experience. So the future is where your content talk about your experience. That works. The future is, if your industry is research based and you are ensuring that from your research you have multiple pieces of content which is adding value to your customer, that still works. And uh, and of course, your bread and butter pages, how you design your bread and butter pages to ensure that your customer can can easily, because nowadays it's not just about textual content, it's about video content, it's about images. So how do you design the whole UI UX experience? How you create an experience where customer is understanding, okay, this is what it is, this is what it is actually having the checklist also there, it's having a lot of other factors also, that's still date working. And so far FAQs are also working on the positive side. So yeah, that's my some facts.
Just based on your point number one, I guess all of us here would want you to be our boss. Yeah. So Deepak, if you want to add something.
Yes. So I would like to share one experience. So recently, we were recreating our service pages for our one of clients. Uh, the page was crisp and short, just to provide enough information uh, useful for a customer. Our ranking started going down and then we had to recreate the page with more content, more depth, uh, you know, to the point where clarity shows that no user comes to. Like you create a long form of service page for the AI or the LLMs so that they can crawl and understand your page, and they can rank your uh, page or service on their search results or whatever you call it in chats or whatever it is.
ओके, फिर एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा आपका?
It's still undergoing. We will share. I will share after, let's say 100th of episode.
दीपक एक सजेशन दूंगी, मतलब आई मीन नाउ सिंस यू हैव ऑलरेडी, आप लोगों ने ऑलरेडी कंटेंट पे रीवर्क कर दिया, बट यू नो सास में स्पेशली अगर छोटा भी पेज हो, बहुत स्पेसिफिक कंटेंट हो, मतलब पता है यही ऑडियंस के लिए हमने इतना ही स्पेसिफिक कंटेंट बनाया है, उसको भी सेम लेवल ऑफ इम्पोर्टेंस अगर रन करना है, तो एक छोटा-सा एक्सपेरिमेंट कभी करके देख सकते हो। अगर आपकी खुद की एक कम्युनिटी हो, मतलब आपके पास ईमेल्स हैं, आपके पास व्हाट्सएप है, आपके पास स्लैक में कम्युनिटी है, आपके पास अदर जगहों पे कम्युनिटी है, एक लैंडिंग पेज चेंज करो एंड ट्राई टू गेट एज़ मच पॉसिबल पीपल ऑफ सिमिलर ऑडियंस टू द लैंडिंग पेज एंड देन सी हाउ गूगल एंड अदर पीपल रिस्पॉन्ड। स्टोरी बदल जाएगी।
Surely experiment on that.
Superb, thank you. This is what we love to do on SEO Talk, right? Practical tips.
This is what we call SEO hacks.
Definitely. No, no. So, see, from your perspective and Isha's perspective also, see, I probably work in one of the most boring industry, and that's where the challenge also comes in. Ki, yeah, for whom do you write the content? See, it's easy when it comes to SaaS, some products, and etc. But what I am talking about is hardcore engineering, hardcore automotive, hardcore manufacturing, right? Imagine you are writing for someone in Tata Motors or writing for someone in say आदित्य बिरला ग्रुप जो फैक्ट्री के अंदर बैठा हुआ है, कपड़े बना रहे हैं and all that kind of stuff, right? How do you write for that person in terms of technology? I need to show my expertise. I don't even know if this person is going to come on a social media, let alone मतलब Instagram तो भूल ही जाओ, right? And let social media पे भी is this person going to come and read my content or see my content, right? And I need to attract this audience and I need to engage with this audience because these are the decision makers, these are the decision influencers. So it becomes very important for me to understand uh, the patterns of search, patterns of consumption of this audience, say a 45-year-old plus sitting within, uh, say, an assembly plant somewhere near Pune, somewhere near, say, Noida, or imagine all those kind of locations, right? But that's where, see, your chance to experiment with content, your chance to see figure out what works best, and challenge yourself, challenge your team to do something differently, right? And I guess for me, say some of those AI stuff is very helpful because uh, I can uh, put into Perplexity or even some of the recent versions of Chat GPT to bring out the research based content, and that is some content that these people love because we are referring to papers, we are referring to deep research from across the globe. So like Isha and Parth mentioned earlier, understanding your audience, uh, the funnel approach which Isha talked about, what I feel is the way we look at the funnel is changed, right? So see, till yesterday you could just say, okay, this is my top of the funnel, this is my middle of the funnel, and if I put this content on top of the funnel, I am going to get bigger, more awareness. Unfortunately, there is too much competition at top of the funnel, right? The volume of content is so high, that it's difficult to become a differentiator there, and that's where you'll have to figure out, okay, what exactly is clicking there, and I guess a lot of play with analytics there. Not dwelling further into it, but what happens to long form content, right? Because we have been talking about, say, different forms of content, different platforms of content. But what I feel is, uh, the long form of content is getting sacrificed for the want of clicks, conversions, or views. Do you feel the same is happening, and long form is getting lost in that inter noise?
Absolutely. I think so. I read somewhere over the weekend that impressions is going to be the new KPI, considering the clicks are disappearing. Um, so, and even if we write the long form content which serves the depth with structure, and we kind of play around with the content UX, we add the TLDR section, um, uh, we add real examples, we divide the content chapter wise, we add more multimodal media to it. uh, but the users were still, uh, the behavior has changed, and the content consumption patterns have changed in a way that everyone is looking for snackable content. And so the long form content should also provide those snippets. And at the same time, I think so the recipe is still similar up to an extent. Like whatever you are doing to optimize for featured snippet, you should continue doing that. And that could help you get cited on LLMs.
Good. Isha? Okay. Faizan has also joined. Faizan, I don't know. Yeah, Isha, please go ahead.
So, I mean, one word answer would be Malhar. Long form of content is going nowhere. It is still exists. It still is being acknowledged. The whole point is the now this long form of content has to be is actually redesigned. So previously, the long form of content used to be considered as one particular piece. Now, one long form of content is actually considered as multiple short pieces. So it's the structure of the long form of the content is what needs to be worked on.
Super and brilliant. And I totally agree with it. Again, I'll wait for Deepak or Faizan if they want to add any thought before I start.
I think the long form content was not that friendly even in the last decade. It was for the junior or the people who used to learn or educational content. Basically, if you someone wants to learn the email marketing, then he will read the email marketing guide. For the decision makers who will be buying the product, they used to read a TLDR version or something like they would be saying like in my last job or something, they used to say okay, you do the research part and give us the summary of all the tools and everything. So this is what is happening. The people like me has been replaced by the AI. I mean the tasks we used to do key research all the products and then create a summary for the decision makers, that has been done by the AI. But again, we will need the long form content so we can explain our product as briefly as possible. Then the AI can summarize it properly, and then the decision maker will be able to make the right decision.
Very nicely put. Deepak?
I would go with Isha's point that long form contents are now considered as multiple short form contents. But question is, why should not we create multiple content instead of that one piece of content? And another thing is that earlier we used to count the words. Okay, we have 1,000 words article, 2,000 words article, 3,000 words article. A lot of that uh, content was storytelling like thing, you know, mm, एक माहौल बनाने का जो वो होता है. Now you have to answer the question or the point. You have to explain the point as crisp, as direct as possible. So this is what I have experienced, that more direct and more crisp contents work.
Yeah, Isha, please.
Yeah. So, Deepak, your point is, I mean, I think what जो माहौल आप बोल रहे हो, I think हम keyword stuffing के लिए भी कई बार long form of content stretch करते थे, which was in the past. I think that's history now. It's people who are doing it, of course, they are seeing that their content is not valued. मेरा यहाँ पे I just wanted to have one simple analog, मतलब जो मैं present करना चाहूंगी, और मैं आई डोंट बिलीव इन व्हाट पीपल आर सेइंग, आई ओनली बिलीव इन माय ओन एक्सपीरियंसेस. तो मैं सिर्फ यही बोलती हूँ कि एज अ यूजर, जब हम भी, अगर आज मैं भी, हम कोई एसईओ का कंटेंट कंज्यूम करते हैं, हाउ डू वी डू इट? पहले फर्स्ट टाइम पर हमको हमारा कोई प्रॉब्लम अगर होगी तो हम सिर्फ 2 या 3 पॉइंट को स्कैन करेंगे, फिर उसको बुक मार्क करके रख देंगे. फिर जब हम उसको प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने लगेंगे तब हम पूरा पीस ऑफ कंटेंट ढंग से डिटेल से उसको एग्जीक्यूट करते हुए पढ़ेंगे. सो द and that's the same thing which we need to think of our customer, कि जब हम वो piece of content बना रहे हैं, जिसके लिए बना रहे हैं, उसको इससे क्या मिल रहा है? It's and as you said, it's you can have multiple pieces of content also, कोई harm नहीं है, बट एंश्योर कि वो एक दूसरे के साथ उतना इंटर रिलेटेड हो कि एज अ कस्टमर आने के बाद कस्टमर ढूंढ नहीं रहा हो कि यार ये कहाँ है, ये कहाँ है, ये कहाँ है. जो पीसेस कलेक्टिव हो वहां पे कलेक्टिव हो. सो एंड इसीलिए अभी आजकल अगर आप देखोगे तो आई मीन फ्रॉम पास्ट 4-5 years वी हैव सीन हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट UI UX is also part of SEO, because that experience has to come out uh, when you are creating the website. You are just not, मतलब एक सिर्फ कंटेंट बनाने के लिए कंटेंट नहीं बनाया है, उसको हम विजुअली भी सोच रहे हैं. दैट्स द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग.
Good points. And what I wanted to allude upon was, say, when some folks say कि long form content works, some says long form content does not work. And what I feel is, see, long form content was never intended to be read in full. Okay, so you have a 8,000 word content, 10,000 word content. Uh, See, you never expected someone to read that entire content. It was always the chunks of content that people would probably read, right? Matlab, whatever they want, if that particular content is answering, they, even in the earlier time, right? So the moment you develop your schemas, your FAQs, and all the stuff, it was always designed in a way to answer certain queries or answer certain problem statements. So even today, see, if you are developing or if you are writing to ensure that it aligns with LLMs, it aligns with AI overviews, etc., long form, in my opinion, will still work. You need to define on what chunks you want to put across your long form so that the readability of that long form content is easier, not just by humans, but also by your LLM, search engines, etc. And it should still work. And so that's where I'll go back to the oldest principle of SEO, where we use say the hub and spoke model. Understand exactly the hub page should look like. Go deeper into your hub, break it into chunks relevant to that topic, and then define your spokes. And that, I guess, should help you, because that's exactly the entire rethinking of the content. Because today, as you have seen, the entire search pattern, lot of us is seeing that it is conversational, right? So is your content tuned for that conversational search pattern, right? Your long form content, is it tuned to conversation? Even if, say, are your spoke pages able to answer some of the conversational queries that would come in as part of your content? So all the stuff you'll have to think over. Content strategy at this point of time, and like I mentioned previously, uh, you need to pay a lot more attention to that. It cannot be, say, 2 years or 3 years or 5 years back. Probably we could go easy on it, create bunch of pages and get it to rank, get it to optimize, get it to rank. It's not easy. It's not as easy now. It is a lot more conversational aspect that has come, right? So that was my submission on this particular topic. And I'll go a little step further, because, and the reason I have arrived at this particular theory is, unfortunately Deepal is not there, because I call her the queen of analytics. For me, it becomes very critical. Understanding your data, understanding how exactly your search journey is happening, or how exactly the customer journey on your page is happening, or even in your industry it is happening, and that will be your guide to success. So, see, to all the panelists here, it's like, what metrics should you measure? Because one of the metric Path mentioned is probably impressions, but beyond that, right, this rankings and all the stuff, I believe, is gone. The days of, say focusing on ranking is gone. uh, what other parameters should we look at now? Parth, Isha, Deepak, or anyone who wants to come up. Parth, you are there. If you're speaking, you are on mute.
Yes. Um, just give me a second. Yeah, am I audible now? Okay. Um, I think so. Measuring through clicks is gone, so impressions is going to be the new KPI, because Google AI overviews will cite your blog content, whatever, and your answer will be shown. So the two types of impressions: the impressions through AI overviews or featured snippet should be segregated and considered in a different um, measurement, while the normal impressions through SERP listings does not have any value now, because that's below the fold. So let's just talk about the AI overviews and those impressions in particular. And while if you want to go a little deep and think about metrics for performing content, so I think so I mentioned it last session or last to last session. The scroll depth of that particular content, like you should set up events, how many of your pages are being scrolled more than 50%, what is your brand search growth, what is your engagement on your own platforms, whether you have a newsletter or email subscription or something like that, because rankings may fluctuate, but the influence and visibility in AI world matters the most. So considering that, we need to come up with our own metrics. It's very subjective, industry to industry, business to business. So yeah, but we need to reinvent the model.
No, absolutely. Isha, Deepak?
Okay, so I agree to what Parth said, and here what I like to add is we need to start going beyond Google Analytics now. We need to start, because our current, or rather from historically, we are so uh, used to in our veins that Google Search Console and Google Analytics is our core. And now with the whole shift which is happening, we might need to think of, because even right, if you ask, and if you ask me which tool should we go ahead, I don't have the answer to it, because even I'm exploring, because there is no right tool. I mean, in terms of AI overview, AI presence, there are a lot of tools who are, I mean, Ahref has their own features, SEM Rush has their own features, but nobody is giving us the picture which we really want. Because as a, so what I personally believe is now user journey has becoming very important, and customers, and you need to understand that where your customers are coming from. Of course, like impressions has to be prioritized. It's no more uh, it's no more about clicks, it's about impressions as well. Impressions has to be equivalent. The importance to impressions has to be given equivalently. But if you really ask me about the matrix, I think it's still, Malhar, we are right now still at the exploring space where we might need to create our own metrics to show to our clients uh, what and another important thing is every piece of content will have a different metric. So now if I am really talking about my own service pages, my bread and butter, there of course, like every client's focus has to be there in terms of users and revenue. But if we are talking about our blog content, if we are talking about the informative content or the supportive content which we create, we need to have an ecosystem where we can track that piece of content across the web. It's not just Google, but it is across the web. That okay, how many people actually came on from the social media? I mean, WhatsApp is right now encrypted, or rather, any other platform which is even encrypted. Are we able to track any kind of a visibility? Can we go up and manually go up and check our logs, how website logs, and see how the customers are behaving there? So we might, like right now there's a lot of experiment which needs to be done, but one thing is for sure, we need to start thinking beyond Google Analytics and Google Search Console, like, or rather there has to be a new tool which needs to be invented in KPIs.
Brilliant. Deepak?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we are all agreeing on that point, that SEO is alive, but clicks are on ventilators. Uh,
Definitely. So it's little difficult or little nuanced than that. And I'll go with Isha's theory, where you need to understand the customer journey and develop your KPIs based on that journey, right? Because at some places the clicks will still matter. At some places it could be the impressions that matter, right? So it depends on the on what part of journey we are creating and rewriting and rethinking the entire funnel to develop it. So that will wrap up the session for today. Wonderful to have you guys again on the panel and sharing your thoughts. Thank you so much for being here and being very patient with all my questions. And to the audience, thank you so much for staying back.